Hello, everybody. How are you today? I was going through the news as I usually do every day. When I turn on my computer, I go onto Yahoo, and yet again, another child has been left in a hot car, and has died. This is such a constant thing in summertime. Just seeing reports almost daily of people leaving children in cars. And it's mind boggling to me that this happens. Who gets so preoccupied in their mind that they completely forget that their child is in the back seat? There's something wrong here. This should not be happening, especially with parents. There have been numerous cases of daycares leaving children in cars. That's one thing. That's irresponsibility. It is irresponsibility of parents to leave their children in the car. But with them, I really think it's just a matter of being so preoccupied with everything going on in their lives that they just don't pay attention. They just don't pay attention. Now, this was the latest one. A 3-month-old was left in the parents' car. It's still being investigated. That was in Pennsylvania. We don't know. But this was the 5th child this year to die in a hot car. And it's only June. A previous case this year, 1-year-old at a daycare was left in the car in Tennessee. That daycare owner rescinded her license a week later. An 8-month-old in Georgia. The father left the child in the car, and now he's being charged with second-degree murder. It just goes on and on, one case after another. And it is so sad and so preventable. Every year, I used to get a newsletter from our electric company when I was paying for my electric back in Tennessee. Every year, in May, you'd get a newsletter with a big article about leaving children in hot cars, not to do it. And yet, people are still being irresponsible and not watching out for their children. 1,000 children have died in hot car deaths since 1990, with 56% of those children being left in the car by accident. By accident. 38 children die each year, one death every 9 days. 87% are age 3 and under. Age 3 and under. They're in car seats. If they're sleeping, you're not hearing them in the back seat. So you're not remembering that there is a child in your back seat and you need to get them out of the car. Oh, it's just so sad. Now, there is a organization called Kids and Car Safety. Jeanette Fennell was the founder. She's the founder and president of this organization, and they've been working 25 years to try and combat this problem. There has been legislation in the past trying to get some way of preventing these deaths. Now, currently, Representative Tim Ryan and Jan Schakowsky, with the help of child safety advocates, are pushing to make this technology in new cars, which is a occupant detection technology, whereas it will scan the car to let you know if there's anybody else in the car. Is that sad or what? Is that sad that we have to try and do just legislation to remind people that they have children in the car or a pet? Oh my gosh. So this latest legislation went to the U.S. House of Representatives on May 12th. They do say that it's been a struggle to get something like this through. A struggle in the government. Can you imagine? It's crazy. Now, I used to live in Tennessee. It gets very, very hot in Tennessee. And I had just taken my dog to the vet. She was a miniature pinscher. And I think, yeah, I had just come back from the vet, and my husband had called me and said, hey, we're out of a few things. Can you go to the store? And it was like 100 degrees that day. It was a really hot day. So I was not about to leave my dog in that car. So I took my puppy and I brought her into into the store, and I put her in the shopping cart. And I did my shopping. People were admiring her and saying how cute she was and everything. She was a mini pin. And when I got to the self checkout, one of the employees said, you're not supposed to bring her in here. And I said, I know, but I wasn't about to leave her outside in a 100-degree car to die. I knew I wasn't supposed to do it, but I wasn't going to leave her out there. And she was a pet. She was a pet. She was my baby girl. I mean, that's how I thought of her. Her name was Missy Lou. I loved her to pieces. And I took such good care of her. And I wasn't going to leave her in the car. And yet I see people leaving their dogs in the car constantly. I go to the store and I hear dogs barking in cars. And I'm like, what the hell is wrong with these people? It's not terribly hot yet, but even getting in the car when it's 70 degrees outside, it's pretty hot. From one of the articles I read, it said, okay, if it's 92 degrees outside, add 30 degrees for the inside of the car. And yeah, it gets very, very hot in the car. So it's a dilemma. It really is. And I just think it's sad that people get so preoccupied that they forget about their children in the car. A tragic thing happened last year. Two grandparents had a child in the car. They both went inside. Each one thought that the other had taken the baby in, only to find out several hours later that the baby wasn't in the house. They went out to the car, and there was the baby. I could never imagine my husband and I going in the house together, and neither one of us, well, maybe not together, one went in first and the other one in the other. But, my first thought would be, if I didn't have the baby, I would look at him and said, okay, where's the baby? And he said, I thought you took the baby in. I could never do that. People need to be more responsible and be careful and remember their children. How can you forget your child in a car? Tell me that. All we can hope is that this new legislation goes through, but unfortunately, there are millions of cars out there that are not new. A lot of people can't afford new cars. So this isn't going to help us now. What's going to help us now is awareness. I think that every single store in this country, should have posters in their windows. Don't forget your child in the car. Don't forget your pet in the car. What we should do, actually, it is a law, okay, that you're not supposed to leave your children in the car. But I think they need to enforce that more somehow to these people who are so preoccupied on what they're doing now and not even paying attention. So this is my PSA for today. It is summer. Do not leave your children in the car.